Hi, welcome to Leap Taken. This is Mika, and here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And today, I am finally having this conversation, this series, this is part one of a three-part series on cottage witchery. So, cottage witchery is near and dear to my heart, is my main way of practicing magic, witchcraft. Yes, I said it, magic and witchcraft. This is how I practice. This is what I do. This is what I initiated myself into a more structured approach to witchcraft, cottage witchery. There's lots of room for whimsy. There's lots of room for all kinds of other magics. But my foundation, my support is the home, the hearth. And that's why I'm filming in it, because we'll get into that in just a moment. But this is where a lot of the cottage witchery that I practice is done, in this room and throughout the home as well, for sure. But definitely a lot has happened in this room. So in short, what the heck is cottage witchery? What's a cottage witch? Which cottage witchcraft? Why can't I say these words? Anyway, in short, I define it as magics and workings performed in, around, and for the home. Okay? And that's a broad, very short description, but stay with me. This is a three-part series, so you're going to walk away with understanding a lot more about what is and what isn't cottage witchery. I like to focus on the positive, so more about what it is than what it's not. But you'll be able to make a clear distinction by the time you watch all three parts of the series. So today is Monday. I'm airing this video. The next one will be Wednesday, and then following on Friday. Next week, I will have a workshop available, and that information on where to go, how to get into the workshop will be on Wednesday's video. If you look in the description, you'll have it there. I purposely waited because I'm one person, and if it's a small crowd, that's great. I can work with that. But if it's a larger crowd, well, then there you go. I mean, my bandwidth, I'll have to expand my bandwidth. So this is the first time I'm doing a workshop where, it's outside of just YouTube as well. But all those details, again, on Wednesday's video, look in the description. I will have all the details. I will remind you in Wednesday's video as well. But in the meantime, let's get on to the business that is cottage witchery. So I think I've always been a cottage witch. However, I started using the term cottage witch as an identifier, I want to say approximately 3 years ago. Before then, I would have identified myself as an eclectic witch, which low-key, I'm still cool with that till this day. It's all okay. Labels are not that important. If you just want to say you're a practitioner, if you don't even feel comfortable with the term witch, I totally understand that. I have no problem with the word witch. I have no problem with saying I practice magic. I don't care if people think that's silly. I don't care if people don't believe it. And if you're watching this video, I'm guessing you're at the point where you probably stopped caring too. So we can just move on from that. But please know, I'm comfortable with the label cottage witch. I'm already comfortable with the label witch. And as far as being a cottage witch, to me, that is the structure, that term describes the structure of the way I practice my magical life, the way I practice witchcraft. So that's why it's so important. And that's why I wanted to share it, because I think that there are lots of other people like myself on the precipice of thinking the way that I think about how to practice magic. If you are someone who kind of up until this point felt like you're more eclectic than anything, I can understand you probably wanting to explore yet another thing like cottage witchery. The thing that you might take away, or I hope that you take away from it, is you're still you. You still get to be curious and try different paths or remnants from different paths or pieces. You can still do that and still call yourself a cottage witch. Because to me, cottage witchery basically is the gigantic umbrella that has all these other things in them, all these other paths: kitchen witch, hedge witch, green witch, And for some people, depending on where you live, even sea witch, but elemental witches, all of that to me is under the umbrella for the way I practice and the way I'll be presenting it of cottage witchery, because those are all encompassing of, and then so much more, by the way, of what it is to be a cottage witch and to, practice your witchery as a cottage witch. So let me move on from that. So, yeah, if you're eclectic, you'll probably get this more. If you're not and you're just curious, I'm sure you'll find some great valuable things. If anything, you'll find a lot of stuff, a lot of working spells, charms, and so forth to do around your home by the time you're done with this series. So, my practice as a cottage witch consists of maintaining the energy in my home. That is probably goal one. Maintaining a certain vibe, a frequency, an energy in my home. That takes work. Um, this differs from, let's say, even those who don't call themselves witches who may sage their home or light an incense or light certain types of candles. All those are great. I would encourage you to do that if you're not, for the purposes of balancing the energy, whether it's cleansing it or inviting in, or both, hopefully. At some point, you have some sort of rotation of how you balance energy in the home. As a cottage witch, this is key, this is important, because the hearth, the hearth is the center. And it's important that there's balance. So balance is going to look well in a home. For some of us, it may not look quite the same. For me, it's peacefulness, quiet, yes, sometimes loud, sometimes boisterous, fun, and all those other things, but other times, chill, a nice, creative vibe, a place where you can escape from the outside world. That's the kind of vibe that I like to have in my home. Also, sacred, secure, spiritually speaking, you're safe here. You can practice here. You can do your spells here. That type of vibe. That's what I reinforce in my home. Okay? So this is all accomplished by doing hosts of various magics, whether it's kitchen magic, whether it's doing hoodoo, whether it's doing candle work, or whatever type of ritual that I've basically created. But basically, that's all under how I would basically actually accomplish some of these things on balancing the energy into the home, within the home, I should say, excuse me. So I do practice natural magic as well, including use of herbs and natural organics, substances. So that's very much a part. No one's perfect, so we all do our best to try to stay as close to nature, natural, sustainable as possible. I think most witches have an intent if you're connected with earth energy. However, we are in modern times, and sometimes we fell short and we don't always get the things, or we stop getting the things that might be harmful, whether we realize it or not, to the planet. So, and this is something that I definitely not look into, I'm very mindful of as I practice. That's part of the way I practice my magic, cottage witchery, I should say, is being aware of that, being aware of the elements, the earth, the planet that we're on. So I try to be as sustainable as possible, but again, no one is perfect as well. But yeah, I do try to use natural ingredients is, oh my gosh, in my spell work as much as possible. Um, as I said before, one of my main goals is to maintain the hearth. That's the center of the home for us. It's going to be pretty much where I'm at right now. Um, this is the center for us in this home. This is our center. So maintaining this area, whether it's actually saging, having certain things strategically placed, and then actually cleaning the house. I am not perfect. If you look at my background, you might think it's a little too cluttered for you. I like that kind of stuff. I love having so much counter space. I can have things out and it doesn't disrupt anything. I still have plenty more counter space. Don't worry. Um, I have like a square shaped kitchen, so it's all self-contained. It's a really good size, and I have a lot of counter space. And this is something that I manifested in my life. I'm very proud of it. So I do appreciate having so much space that I could just have things out ready for when I use them. And I use pretty much everything that's out almost all the time. So I love that. But along with that means cleaning. So cleaning, mundanely speaking, your space. Mundanely speaking, actually clean your space. This is very important in cottage witchery, is to maintain clean spaces. Now, your level of clean may not be the same as mine and vice versa, and that's perfectly okay. A fingerprint on stainless steel does not send me over. A film of dust that is collected over time, well, that might get to me. And if that's getting to me, that's blocking energy flow, that's blocking me relaxing and me grounding myself and being able to do all types of wonderful types of magic in my home, because I am thinking about that. Because if it's there, it's probably in other places too. And I'm sneezing, my allergies are going off, I'm uncomfortable in my own space. This is the anti-cottage witchery approach to everything. No, clean your space. Actual cleaning of your space is super important, and maintaining that to the best of your ability and to what your level of clean is. These things are actually important. I can't stress that enough. Um, Ultimately, it's about what you're sending out into the universe. So these are just the basics. I'm just giving a very brief introduction to cottage witchery with this video. So when I say these things, obviously there's a lot more, but just the basics. Yeah, you're gonna need to learn how to keep a clean house. Um, then maybe you might have been comfortable with, or maybe you want to, just make sure things are a little bit more organized and tidy. And here's why. Metaphysically speaking, what energy are you sending out into the universe? What I believe my house has its own energy signature. It has been influenced by everything, from the people who built it to the original leasing company, owner, bank, whatever that is being paid back for the work. You know how all this works with new construction. And then from us, the inhabitants, and those who actually they showed this house before we moved in. This is one of the first built ones, so those people as well. That energy was left here, so it was up to me, the cottage witch, to remove and invite. So it's a two-parter, and I'll get more into that in part 2 video. But the energy I wanted to send into the universe is that we want to remove unwanted energy. Unwanted is still stagnant, doubtful, fearful, angry, possessive, anything in the way of healing, any obstacles in the way of healing and just overall peace and well-being. That type of energy over time, is something that I've worked to remove. And and while doing so, let's invite spirits who want to work with me, who are for my greater good, ancestors, a specific deity, goddesses, gods that I work with, other types of house spirits, house energies, fairies. That's a whole conversation, and we'll get there. But I'm willing to, or I'm open to inviting those, right? Now, they're still wards, so invite it, but it's not a constant open invitation. You can come and go as you please and do whatever you want. No, you will play by my rules in my home. That is to all spirits, entities that are invited in, or those who somehow found their way in. You have to act right once you're in my home. Okay? So my altar space, yes, my altar space, where that is, that's where I do a lot of my working, even though technically the entire house is sacred. You'll find, as the cottage witch, it tends to work that way for a lot of people. It might be outside. Now, weather-wise, it depends. I'd love to do more on my front porch for privacy concerns, not so much, but in the back, definitely. When I first started doing this channel more consistently, I was in a spare bedroom that was also an office my husband and I both had shared. But I found that I needed to, listening to the house, the energy, picking up on the vibe, I realized I needed to move my space, and it worked. So I bring all this up because at some point, you're going to discover where's the best place in your home, or places that you feel more content, you feel more energized, you feel more at peace for whatever purpose of magic that you're doing. The kitchen, yes, for sure. Always a great place to do. There's so much alchemy taking place in the kitchen. It's the most magical place in the home, in my opinion. It's by far the most, even though I'm not in here all the time doing all of the type of magic I do, it's central. So that's why I think it's the hearth and I have to maintain it. Okay? From throwing back to what I was saying before. And I'm just going to do a narration, give you a little story to give you a better, hopefully, understanding. And I'll close with this of how cottage witchery, a day in a life, so to speak, what that looks like. So let me describe to you in a story, true story. So there was one evening I came in, it was late evening. My husband and I had gotten in, and I noticed it was so windy. It was a full moon also. And I told him we were coming into the house, and I said, I'm just going to stay out on the porch for a bit. I feel like I need to. He said, oh, okay. So he sat on the porch with me, and we were quiet. So I just went and I stood at the very edge of where my porch is. It's elevated. And I just allowed the breeze, first very calm, to just wash past me through my hair, ruffling my clothes, whipping my face. And then it built a lot actually, enough where I felt had to kind of intentionally root myself to not be moved by the wind, but it was also purifying. It was cleansing. And I was grateful that I was able to trust my intuition enough to know this is a gift from the universe. This is a gift from the elements, air, to just allow me that opportunity, the gift of just unprompted but very necessary cleansing. I had a lot going on in my mind at that time, and I needed that. And that's what I mean about intuition, intuitive magic. In order for that to have worked, I would need to trust that little quiet voice of saying, just stay outside. That's step one, learning to trust the voice. Learning to know what feels good and what doesn't, and what feels very necessary. It felt very necessary that I walk to the edge of my porch and I stand there and let the wind just build. And when I was done, I felt so grateful, so much more relaxed, and I felt like I was given a gift. Like every validation was given to me at that point, confirmation of everything I've ever asked. To me, that was actually a very big moment in my life. It was a quiet night on my porch. Now, I was already out. I could have rolled the window down, and technically the wind could have blew in the car, and I could have maybe felt something, but that's not what it was. In my safe space, on my property, where I have wards and protection to guard me and to protect me, that's where the magic happened, because the house supported it. Remember, I kind of hinted at the idea of almost like a familiar boosting your magic. Well, that's how I felt that night with the wind blowing very cleansingly through me. I felt like it was going through me. My house was supporting me. It was supporting my magic. It was supporting the universe or me interacting with elemental energy, with air energy. It was supporting that because it knew I needed it, because it knows me, because my house is also influenced by my energy. We work together. Anyway, I think that's a beautiful thing, and I just like to end this part one of the series with that, because I think that can be super helpful if you're struggling with what do you get out of this? Okay, so you cleaning and do all that, you say a couple words. How is that different from just maintaining your home? This is the way cottage witchery is beneficial to me. Or one of the ways. That experience is just one of many that I had and I needed, and I had a very real reaction after that very natural cleansing technique. I didn't have to do anything but just be and allow, and that was perfect for me at that time. And I'm very grateful to the energy in the home for recognizing I needed that and giving me that support, that sense of groundedness, so that I could just stand on my porch and open my arms and just let the wind just whip through me. Yeah, so that's it. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned for part two. I get a lot more in depth, and more detail will be in part two. Obviously watch the video, but look in the description for links to the workshop that will follow. That will be a lot more in depth, much more meatier, much more content and substance on what it exactly it is to practice cottage witchery, how to practice cottage witchery, and why you might be drawn to it. So yeah, stay tuned and check out next video. Remember the bell thing, hit the bell. Thanks again for watching. I'm Mika. This is Leap Taken. Please like, subscribe, share, and thanks again if you've already subbed. Bye-bye.